Man, let's get going again, y'all. We're back. We took a lot of time off. Let's see if we can get in the... We took a lot of time off. We are back to work. We got some stuff happening. We got a little roadster pickup back in here again. We're doing some updates to it, some finishing stuff to get it sold, to get it out of here and move it on to a new customer. And right now, what we've got is we've got this old front end. We're going to show you guys how to tear this front end apart. This is an early Ford front end. And we're going to show you exactly how to take it apart to get it broke down so you can use it on your hot rod. Let's go. All right, as you can tell, this is the early Ford front end. 37 to 39 front bones as they're straight. The drums are 46 to 48. They have the external hub on them. And what we're going to keep, this is going to go on Travis's Model A coupe. So what we're going to keep is we're going to keep the spindles. They've got the 39 spindles, back the round backs. We're going to keep the juice brake backing plates. You can see those on both sides. See the rubber hoses there. We're going to keep the drums. We're eliminating the axle. We're going to keep the bones because we're going to use that to split and put on his car. The spring's coming off. The front sway bar's coming off. And these old shocks are coming off too. So we're going to show you how to tear this thing down. We're going to show you how to get these perch pins out of here. That's you can tell that's a little bit different perch pin than normal, what you would normally use, because this is a spring forward. So you can see the spring is in front of the axle, but for the 29 coupe we're going to run a different kind of perch pin where the spring is dead center over the axle. So we're going to hang on to these parts, drag link too, and we're going to tear this sucker apart. It's going to take a torch and an air hammer and a whole lot of ugga-duggas. First things first, we're going to get this sucker up on some jack stands so we can get up to it. We don't have to worry about bending over and being on the floor all the time. Let's see if we can lift this thing. Let's see. That there. See if we can do maybe one at a time. This thing's awfully heavy. Don't be surprised. These things will freaking hurt you, so they're super heavy. So just be aware of that. It's better to have two friends or another friend to help you, but I don't have that convenience today. That looks pretty good. We got a shock here. Messed up. Yeah. There we go. Get that on that side. Here we go. Now we can get to that easier. There we go. Cool. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take these shocks off and that sway bar. Let's knock that out. We're going to give her a little bit of squirt down here. See if we can get some of that. I don't know how well these are going to come off. And I don't know if I'm going to... I might end up using the sawzall to cut like this. Or the torch, maybe, even to use to cut that spring off there. We'll just cut the shackles on it. Let me get this all lubed up here. Grab that one. Let me get that. It's probably going to spin, I bet. Oh, tightened up, so that's good. I always like to tighten. That usually will kind of break that rust off, and then you can just back it out. That came right out of there. I'm surprised. We're going to keep taking some of these nuts off and see if we can get some of this stuff apart. If we can't, we'll just cut it off. But for the most part, we're trying to save as many of the parts we need for the build. So we don't want to just go in there and go crazy cutting stuff up. Okay, and that shock bone there. So you can see this is the, oops, that's the shock bone. This would have been mounted to the side of the frame rail. It is no good. It's lost all its rubber, so we can probably delete that with a hammer. There's that one. There we go. Cut that off. Cut that off. Alright, we need to take this sway bar off. Right here. There we go. This old spring's got a wrap on it. Looks like the Mercury's had a they had a metal wrap on them that I guess it was to protect it, keep the dirt out of it, maybe hold the grease in a little longer. I don't know if this one's a Mercury one or not. There we go. There's that side. That's off. We need to get that tie rod off and those brakes off. So the next step is going to be, let's pull these drums off. Got to pull off this little cap here, so we'll get that off real quick. Let's see. There we go. Try to hang on to those. We don't want to mess those up. We're going to need them, and they are threaded. Oh, that's still got some good old grease in it. So they are threaded on there. We'll take that stuff off of there. Let's see. Cotter pin in there. Oh, there it is. I couldn't tell if it was in there or not. Yeah, it's right there. So we'll tap that. See if we can get that to come out a little bit. Oh, there we go. Got that. Now we can pop that nut off there. This is where you're going to get greasy. I like wearing the gloves, keep it from getting cut, but some things you just can't do with gloves on. So we'll pull the nut off, and the washer, and the bearing, because we're going to save that for Travis and let him get those cleaned up. See if we can get it in there and just tap it out. Sometimes those washers are a little tight to get out. Oh, and pop right out. There we go. If we can get that out of there. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's see if we can get that. Get that bearing out of there. Now this is just my opinion. So this is my thoughts on these bearings. Any of these pieces that you pull out of an old original front end like this, if it says USA on it, then it's got to be good stuff, and it's probably still good. If it's not, if there's not an issue with it, I guess bearing says USA right there on it. It doesn't say Ford, but it does say, let's see if I can smear it off. Let's check it. Does that say Ford? It does say Ford on it. See if you can see it. Right there at the bottom. See right there? That says Ford on it. That's the original bearing out of there. And here's my thoughts on that. When that bearing was made right there, this is a 39 front end at least with 46 brakes, so it's as early as it is, it's a 39 to 46. When that was made in 39 to 46, all this metal was not recycled. It was not crap that has been sent to China and added with a bunch of other trash and then sent back over here. This is all original iron ore, I guess you would call it, you know, that they dug out, and it never got recycled. So this is the best quality material that you could find. That's why these cars go down the road so well, is because of some of this old stuff that they put in there was all original metal. Fat shout out to Sweet Patina for the TKO hand cleaning wipes. My hands are clean. Look at that, y'all. Bam. And they smell good. Shoot, that cleaned my hands up really well. Awesome. Love those wipes. Alright, let's get this. This is the puller that I use. It's an old school, I don't know what brand it is, but you can usually find them at any of the swap meets. But it's got this little donut here, and these legs slide around. They slide off there. They slide around, and you can put it on right on that, just like that. Now we'll get our lug nuts put on there. Hopefully this will pull off. Before we start putting the cinch down on this though, we're going to go ahead and try to back off the brakes. Let's get these lug nuts on here. That spindle doesn't have a little divot in it. Most of them usually do. And this one's got a little pin on it. We'll see what we can do with it. We might be able to just push it out. Before we do, come around here. There's the back of the brake. We're going to try to turn these to where we adjust the shoes in to get them off of that drum. Here's the inside of the backing plate. You can see these are concentric like a nautilus shell. So you turn them one direction and they'll loosen up. So we'll need to figure out, we got to look at this and figure out which way we need to turn them. But we should be able to feel it. Once we start adjusting those, we should be able to feel that loosen up a little bit. We got our Kara Wilson tool. We'll see if we can adjust that out. See if we can. See if we can feel it back off there. Nope, it's getting tight, so let's do it the other way. Here we go. Yep, that tightened up again, so that means this one's going to go this way. Yep. See what we got. Oh, there we go, locked in. Okay. 13/16 on the original Ford nuts. 1 1/8 on this little dude right here. Let's see. Turn that around, lock that in. There we go. Try to get that up there a little bit. Well, I'm not sure that that pin is going to find a home there on that spindle. Oh, maybe so. Then we'll see what it does. If not, we might have to put a spacer in there to try to keep it from wanting to slide off of there. It's pulling it. Get it down here so you can see it. Yep, we're pulling the brake shoes. Right now you can see the gap there. See that brake shoe right there is crooked. So what we need to do is we can either A, keep on going and see if it pulls that brake shoe off there. Or we can tap that shoe around. Let's move this and see what we got. So you know that. Take those off. So these are the, you can see that. Let's see. These have the adjustable bottoms, which are the early 39s that match with these backing plates. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen these up. Let's see if we can adjust those around. The later ones, I think in 41 they went to just a solid pin down here that holds the brake shoe in, and there's no adjustment. Maybe. I don't have the little tool for that, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's a little wrench that turns those, and I don't have that. I've not been able to find one on eBay. Alright, sorry to interrupt the video. I lost some footage because we had a lot of heat the day that I was shooting. It was 101 in here in the shop and the camera was getting really hot. But I wanted to take the time now to show you what some of the stuff that was missing. So we were just pulling the drum off of the driver's side spindle. And I thought this would be a good time for me to show you exactly what's going on with the brakes. So the backing plates on there were 39s, which are juice brakes, and the spindles are 39s, but the drum was actually a 42 to 46 with the outer hub on there. So let me show you the difference between the brakes. So the earlier brakes are a lot easier to pull off. When you get ready to pull the drum off, you can see this is the one we were pulling off here. So there's an actual adjustment down here that swivels. I've got them both on one side. You can see this little brass piece. It goes in here. And you can see how by adjusting that bolt on the back of the backing plate, we'll adjust that like that. It'll adjust that shoe around kind of concentric. So with those, you can just unbolt those and the whole, you can see how the whole mechanism would come out. Unbolt the wheel cylinder, unbolt the lower swivels there, adjustments, and it'll come right out of that. The only thing will happen was these shoes will be right up underneath these clips, and it'll pull these clips out as you pull that drum completely off of there. So If the shoes are stuck to the drum, you can pull that whole part off. Now this is a 42 to 48 backing plate, and you can see in 42 they switched and went to a solid cam here, which does not swivel. It's just the only adjustment here is out here on your shoe. You can see it had a square back spindle on it, so that tells you it's 42 to 48, and you can see there's no adjustment here. So if your backing plates have the adjustment bolts at the bottom, then you can pull that whole drum off, and the shoes and the wheel cylinder all at the same time. And all it does is it bends these little clips that hold the shoe. So there you go. That's what we did. We pulled the whole drum, it pulled the whole brake shoe mechanism off, all in one. So just wanted to let you know that. Sorry we messed up on that, but there's a good little explanation, so enjoy the show. There we go. Pulled that all out in one unit. Perfect. That's awesome. And all we have to do is tap those back straight. There you go. Travis will never know. Looks good to me. Now we've got the washer and the nut cleaned up, so we'll put that back on the spindle to keep those threads from getting gimped. We want that to stay nice and clean for when we get ready to put it all back together. We have to go in from here. Okay, we'll leave that in for Travis. Last thing we need to do is pop that drag link off. Tie rod, drag link, whatever you want to call it, steering link. It's been called a bunch of different things. I call it the drag link because it drags this side over here. I don't know. You talk to Sid, he calls it the steering link, I think, and then the drag link is the one that goes to the steering box, but whatever. We're going to pull that one off real quick. We've got to pull that cotter pin again. Almost all the bolts on the early Ford stuff has a cotter pin in it. Always use some side cutters or get it out there. There we go. That was out. Let's see if that fits. Nope, not 3/4. Must be a 13/16. Yep. Oh yeah, it came right out. That's good. Let's get this other one out. Got it. Pop that out there. I'm done. What you're going to want to do here, let me show you. When you hit this tie rod end, we're saving this tie rod. We're going to use these tie rod ends, we're going to use them for mock-up, so we don't want to booger up the threads here. Now you can take this off, this castle nut, and put it back on there where the flat side is down, if I can get it. I don't know if I can get it. You can do that and hammer it back on there, hammer it down, utilizing that nut. Right there, you want it flat. Or what you really need to do is hit it on the side if you can. Now we got the backing plate in the way, so we're probably not going to be able to do that, so we're just going to tap that one. Let's see. Not hit it real hard. Here it is. Popped it right out. one don't want to come off of there. That one's being a pain in the butt. It don't want to come off of there. Okay, that's awesome. There it went. Now we'll back that off. Well, we got her started. There we go. Saved that. So that's good. We got a good drag link there. Now we'll get the tie rods replaced, but for now we have a good one that we can use for mock-up. So next we're going to pull these kingpin keepers out right here. What we're going to do with those is we're going to back them out just a little bit where we have a little bit of room in there. That was really loose, so that's awesome. So what I did was I just took, you can see the kingpin keeper there, that's what I call it. It's also the steering nut. That's what keeps your steering, so you can adjust these longer to keep that spindle from going too far when you turn left or right. Each spindle has one because of the kingpin. That wedges in there and keeps that kingpin tight. So what I did was I took the nut off, pulled the lock washer off, that way I have a little bit more space. And I'm going to get that going back in there again. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of a, it looks like it's trying to cross thread. That may be the reason why. There it is. Ow, there's a thread. Yep, got stung on that one. Let's see if we can get that back on there. Well, that one's not going to be any good because I can see it's cross-threaded. So what we're going to do with that one, since it's cross-threaded, it ain't no good, and I got a piece of metal in my finger now. We're just going to hammer it out. There it went. Get you back around on this side and you can see it. There you go. There you go. There's that keeper. It's all boogered up. You can see it was hammered on the end. See, it's kind of mushroomed out there. So they hammered it good. Now that's out, we can go to this one. So the kingpins won't be any good, and neither will these. But if you can save it, save it. Okay, now let's tap that one out. You can watch this side and I'll tap it out here. There it went. And we'll tap a little bit more. Oh yeah, that one comes out. There you go. We'll hang on to that one. You never know when you get one that gets gimpy threads and need to take it out. Alright, since we've got the kingpin keepers out now, all we're down to are the kingpins and the perch pins here. So let's flip this axle over so we can get these kingpins out, because they're going to drive this direction. It's the same as the perch pins. They're going to both drive this direction. This is my piece I use to drive kingpins out. It's a little bit smaller diameter than the kingpin, so it should go right back in there, and you can see I've hammered a lot with it. So let's see if we can get those out. Now, technically speaking, these should drive right out pretty easily because they do have grease zerks. If they've been greased in the last century, they probably are fine. Sometimes they will not get greased and they will get rusty in there. So you just have to try to do what you can do. I'm going to drive this one out here. Oh yeah, that one's going right out. So with the backing plate on, I can't get straight in there, but now that I've got it started, we're getting pretty good. I don't want to get my pin here in a bind, so we'll get another driver here in a second. Tap this one out. I'm just going to use this long skinny bolt, so I think it'll be fine. Oh, went a little far with it. There we go. Now we should be able to get onto that lip there. There you go. Kingpin out. Now we can pull that spindle off. There you go. Spindle and backing plate. Yep. There we go. Second spindle off. There we go. Now what do we got left? Perch pins, y'all. That's the booger. Those are usually in there pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and squirt some more juice in there. Just for fun. Let's see what size that is. Okay, that's going to be 15/16. More cotter pins I forgot, so we'll get those out because they don't look like they're too bad. They're too hard to get to. Man, I'm really lucky at how well this is coming apart. Really surprised. So that's good. Good for me anyway, in this video. Next step is going to be your air hammer. Alright, here's what you're going to want to use. This is an old Chicago pneumatic junk one I got from a garage sale or something. I've got the pointed end. You can see it right there. It's going to go right down. I'll show you in that perch pin. There's a little dimple in the bottom to drive these out, and that's what I'm going to use, is that pointed one. Now I also have this one. If it does get stuck down there in the shaft somewhere, then I can go ahead and put that down in and drive it on out. Well, that's not what's supposed to happen. I'll get my gloves on for this. Okay, you can see that little dimple right there in the end of that. That's where I'm going to put that air hammer, air chisel, whatever you want to call it, and drive that perch pin right down out of there. Alright, let's see what we got. We'll know if it starts moving. those are reusable. Okay, this is the tough one. Alright, well that one ain't having it, so we're going to go ahead and do the same trick we did on the drag link, and we're going to run the nut back down on there. Make sure it's flushed up. And we're going to give it a couple taps. Nothing really hard. We're just going to see if maybe it'll break it loose, and then we can go ahead and drive it on out with the air chisel. Try it again. Nothing yet. This one I think is going to be pretty stuck. We don't really need the perch pins, so let's just go ahead and drive it on out. Be done with it. That. Ready? Alright, we're dragging this out way too long. We're in another day here. So when we left off yesterday, I tried to hammer that out. Now what I've done is I've mushroomed out the bottom of that a little bit. So in order to get that down through that axle, I'm going to go ahead and slick that up and get it the size down a little bit so that we can heat it up with the torch and drive it down through there. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to get the torch out, fire it up. We're going to heat it up right here and right here on the back, and then we'll drive that out with the air chisel. Bop bop. Alright, you can see I've slicked that up. So we're fixing to get that torch out here and get it ready to go. Now I'm just using a regular like cutting torch head. You can see a rosebud would be nice. I don't have one. Man, somebody's let that blacken up. So we're going to use this one. We're not going to hit the oxygen, we're just going to heat this sucker up right here. Grab the air chisel, and we'll try to drive that sucker out of there. Okay, you ready? Let's do it quick. Alright, no go. We're going to have to do both sides. This is kind of worst case scenario here. So we'll just keep doing it. And this sucker ain't budging. Here comes the hammer. Alright, awesome. Now we've mushroomed it out again. but we've got it down some. Oh. That's going. Let's see if we can get it on down there. We're going to flip this axle over real quick. Move you all over here, because now you can see that I can get to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that sucker off right there with the cutoff wheel. Now that we got that, we got it moving, so let's go ahead and pound her out. Okay, good one. Alright, we got a lot of it pushed through. So what we're going to do now, it's flush with the top of the axle here. So we're going to cut this off and see if we can drive it back through there. So let's get that sucker cut. Now we're going to heat it up a little bit more and we're going to try to drive it back through there. Again, this is worst case scenario, so. Well, we're almost there, but we can't get her out. Finally making some progress. Cut the other perch pin off, using that shaft to knock that out. I almost got it. There we go. Now I gotta knock that one out. Ha. Back over here. There we go. Finally. Victory! Right. All that hitting it around with a hammer just about got us done here. Maybe. There we go. Finally. We are done. Man, it's hot. Alright, we're done. We've got that thing all pulled apart. Check it out. All the pieces. Drums, brake shoes, drum, axle, tie rod, spindle and backing plate, wishbones, and the shocks. And there's all the junk that's going to get tossed in the trash. So we've got everything off there, which is great. Now it's time for a cold pop. So like, share, and subscribe. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.